A cold, brisk day here at Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium, where the Pittsburgh Steelers continue their drive to their first AFC Central Division crown since 1984. They'll play the Cincinnati Bengals today. Hi, everybody. Dan Hicks along with John Dockery. And John, truly an historic occasion here today. It's not often you get the chance to witness a quarterback transition, but the hotshot college quarterback David Klingler in for Boomer Esiason, the legend here at quarterback.
Cincinnati believes he is a franchise player, and we may be witness to the debut of another great NFL quarterback, the likes of Namath, Elway, Montana, those kinds of talent, Marino. He has all the skill in the world, Klingler does. Can he put it together today? We'll get a sense soon.
Well, a much different role for Boomer Esiason. He's been the starter here for 8 years, relegated to a role of watching from the sidelines, but as we talked to him today, he was emotionally up.
True to character, Boomer simply said this: hey, I'm not going to sit on the bench. If I can't stay and play, I want to go elsewhere. I have 4 or 5 good years left in the NFL, and I want to play.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the surprise team of the NFL this year, have their quarterback Neil O'Donnell back. He sat out with a hamstring injury last week, but Barry Foster, maybe the surprise running back of the NFL this year, has a chance to run through some hallowed ground today.
Hallowed ground indeed, because he has a chance to break Franco Harris's single-season rushing record. Dan, all that he needs today, Barry Foster, as you see on that graphic, is 30 yards to break that Steeler record.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers have won the toss, and Cincinnati will kick off. And number 26, Rod Woodson, comes out from his own end zone for Pittsburgh, and he will not get to the 20-yard line. He'll get to the 19 before he is brought down by number 58, Alex Gordon. And let's set the Pittsburgh Steeler offensive lineup for you. Neil O'Donnell, as mentioned, had a miraculous recovery from a hamstring injury. Bubby Brister filled in last week, but Neil O'Donnell gets the start. Barry Foster, as mentioned, having a prolific year at running back for Pittsburgh, has a chance to cross a couple of milestones today. Jeff Graham and Dwight Stone, the wide receivers for O'Donnell. Jackson Love, Dawson Hasselrig, and Ilkin up front for Pittsburgh. First down and 10 from the 19. And O'Donnell goes to the air in the first play across the left side. Knocked out of bounds is Merrill Hodge at about the 28-yard line. The Bengals defense, there's a lot of rookies in this defense. Lamar Rogers, Tim Crumry, Alonzo Mitz, James Francis having an outstanding year. Ricardo McDonald, the rookie linebacker, number 56, along with Reasons and Stubbs. And in the secondary, it is Jones, Thomas, Fulcher, and Darrell Williams. There's a gain of 9. It'll be second down and 1 for the Steelers. Here is Merrill Hodge, and he'll pick up the first down for Pittsburgh. So it's been Hodge in the first 2 plays, and we have yet to see Barry Foster.
But we will see Barry Foster, and it's really a switch. Merrill Hodge was the featured back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was before Barry Foster stepped up this year and has become one of the elite running backs in the NFL. And he's chasing Emmitt Smith for that rushing title.
First and 10, Pittsburgh from the 34-yard line. And here is Barry Foster up to the 39, maybe the 40-yard line. So Foster, with his first carry of the game, he was brought down by Ricardo McDonald, but a phenomenal year for Barry Foster. Last week he had 168 yards rushing against the Colts. Another 2 touchdowns, which brings his total for the year to 7 scores. And he is the main man in this offense, no doubt about it.
To say the least, he is the main man. It's simply a Barry Foster offense. Straight ahead power blocking. Let Barry Foster pick his holes, which he does so well.
Gain of 6 for Foster, second down and 4. And it's Foster again, but this time he's stacked up behind the line of scrimmage by a host of Bengals, including number 58, Alex Gordon, who led the charge. So that'll be important for the Bengals. If they can maintain Foster, it'll be a much easier battle for them.
And the Bengals have never been noted for defense for the last decade or so, and they are 27th in the league in defense, second to last, and they're not that good a defensive team. Barry Sanders had 160 yards against them last week, so they're just ganging up to the line. They're saying to the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're going to stop Foster. Let's see if you can throw the ball and beat us.
3 wide receivers in for Pittsburgh. It was a loss of 4, 3rd down and 9. O'Donnell out of the shotgun. He wanted Jeff Graham, the wide receiver, but it falls incomplete, and that'll bring up 4th and 9, and the punting unit for Pittsburgh, Ricky Dixon, on the coverage for Cincinnati.
And the Cincinnati game plan on defense was simply that. Get the Steelers in 3rd and long and see if they can beat you with the pass.
Carl Pickens back at his 20-yard line. Not a good punt by Mark Royals, but it takes a Pittsburgh bounce inside the 20, and it'll be down at the 18-yard line. We mentioned an historic occasion at the top of the show. David Klingler not only gets his first NFL snaps, it's his first NFL action, and the crowd here at Riverfront recognizes the occasion. Klingler, the 6th player picked overall, setting a slew of NCAA passing records in his career at Houston, 51 in all. Klingler held out all of the preseason, so he did not get a chance. 3 wide receivers for Klingler. This is his offense. And he'll throw. And he'll complete his first NFL pass to Jeff Query, number 89.
Interesting early strategy by David Chilla and the Cincinnati Bengals in order to make their throwing quarterback, the gunslinger from Houston, comfortable. They come out throwing the ball, 3 wide receivers. Jeff Query starts for the first time.
So David Klingler completing 1,000% of his passes now in the NFL. 2nd down and 3. It was a gain of 7 on the reception by Query. Klingler to throw again. Right side complete to number 48, Craig Thompson, the tight end, and a first down for Cincinnati.
So Klingler comes to the NFL. A lot of people, including the Pittsburgh Steelers, and thought that maybe he would be conservative handing off the ball, but no. A little like Boomer Esiason, he comes out throwing the ball. He has that confidence that quarterbacks have, and he's 2 for 2 in the NFL on his first 2 snaps.
We saw Boomer Esiason last week. Boomer throwing for just 64 yards. And with Cincinnati's playoff hopes all but gone, David Klingler got the start. Rolling to his left. He's mobile. He'll run it and slide safely into the 37-yard line before Hardy Nickerson of the Steelers there was to meet him. So Klingler's also very mobile.
Very mobile and also very intelligent. If you watch David Klingler, he didn't play in preseason, so this is his first real live action. Here he takes off. He's got great speed and athletic ability, but watch at the end. He uses his sense. He slides forward to avoid the hit, so he may survive to take another play. Learn that early as an NFL quarterback, and you will be around a long time.
I don't think he did that at Houston, did he? But
No.
He's quickly learned that in order to make a long living in the NFL, keep healthy.
And you know what? You look the last 2 decades of Bengal history, they could be defined by the quarterback. Kenny Anderson here for 14 years. Then Boomer comes along. He's here for 8 years. And now the question is, are we witnessing the debut of the next franchise player, the guy that will be the quarterback for the Bengals of the 90s, and make them take them back to the places that Boomer took them, like the Super Bowl.
2nd and 5. This time, Klingler rushed out of the pocket, and he'll run it out of bounds. David Little providing the pressure. And Klingler lost some yardage on that play, so instead of 2nd down and 5, it should bring up a 3rd down and 8 situation for Cincinnati.
And this is where Klingler feels most comfortable. He ran the run and shoot at Houston with the 5 hot receivers. He'd prefer to throw the ball, and David Chilla is simply matching his system to his talent, to his quarterback, and allowing David Klingler to throw here early.
Well, Klingler said he saw every defensive coverage you could see by operating on the run and shoot at Houston. And on 3rd and 8, Klingler has a lot of room to run. But he'll be short of the first down as he is brought down at the 39-yard line. Nickerson and Lake there to meet him.
And in this situation, you might wonder if David Klingler could have been a little more aggressive as a quarterback had he gone straight forward and not done all of this stuff, and then he looks for a place to fall. He might have had a shot at the first down, which is about 1.5 yards away.
Back for the Steelers, number 26.
So Lee Johnson will punt it away for Cincinnati. Rod Woodson is back at his 15-yard line. 8:35 to go in the first quarter from Riverfront. We are scoreless. The Bengals and the Steelers. And the ball is in the end zone for Pittsburgh. A touchdown. Eric Ball. Charles Davenport scores the touchdown for Pittsburgh. And suddenly the opportunistic defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers scores the first touchdown of the game.
Opportunistic is a perfect word for this. There you see the slip. And then he just picks that ball up, Davenport does, and takes it in for the touchdown. And that's the way the Steelers have won all year. Special teams defense taking advantage of mistakes by the opponent.
32 yards on the touchdown by Davenport. The extra point is good. 7-0 Pittsburgh will be back to Riverfront.
The Bengals, with nothing to lose, try a fake punt to Eric Ball. What happens? He slips and falls. He's gone, and Davenport comes in, picks it up, and takes it for the touchdown.
No doubt about it, a fake punt all the way, and Charles Davenport with his first career NFL touchdown, and the Steelers with a 7-0 lead. And this is Eric Ball, and he's got some room across the 30. All the way to midfield.
Interesting that Eric Ball was the man on that fake punt. He slipped and fell. The Steelers got a touchdown. That time he makes amends with an excellent kickoff return.
48 yards on the kickoff return by Eric Ball. So the Bengals will start their series in good shape. Back at Riverfront Stadium, Eric Ball involved in 2 very big plays earlier. He was supposed to be the recipient of a muffed fake punt earlier, which led to the Steelers' fumble recovery for the touchdown, and he has just returned the kick 48 yards to put Cincinnati in good shape for the 1st and 10 at the 48-yard line. David Klingler in his second series as an NFL pro, and he'll throw on first down to the right sideline, complete to Jeff Query, number 89. One of the 3 wideouts in that set for David Klingler.
And this is one of the things that defines an NFL quarterback. As we watch Jeff Query, it's simply a quick out. But if you can get a sense of how quickly the ball gets there, that's what differentiates the quarterbacks. The guys who are able to throw that deep out pattern. David Klingler has an incredibly strong arm. And
he's 3 for 3 and a first down for Cincinnati at the Steeler 40. And Harold Green will get his first one of the day. Brought down by the left outside linebacker, Gerald Williams.
You know, it surprised me a little bit, Dan, in this chess game that we're watching. David Schuler decides to give Klingler some leeway. He comes out with 3 wide receivers and lets him throw the ball. The Pittsburgh Steelers have yet to react with a dime package and some extra defensive backs that they like so much. Bill Cowher, a little bit surprised, I think, to see Klingler throwing the ball so much so early.
Yeah, he thought perhaps Klingler would come out, throw some quick passes early, and that would be it. It would turn into a Harold Green right, Harold Green left show, but Klingler out throwing again, and a first down to Jeff Query. Brought down by Rod Woodson.
Listen to the stadium. Maybe they feel they're witnessing something special, the debut of a new star in the NFL. And Query seems to be his favorite receiver. He came from Houston. He was picked up as a free agent. Here he just turns quickly, but he's working on one of the best. Woodson It was only about a yard or two off, but the velocity of the ball allowed no reaction time for Woodson.
Klingler, red hot in his NFL debut. 4 for 4, 37 yards. The ball is at the Steeler 25-yard line, 1st and 10 for Cincinnati, and Klingler doesn't like what he sees and quickly calls a timeout. And we will step aside as well. The Steelers are up 7-0, but the Bengals are threatening. David Klingler making his first NFL start, his first NFL appearance ever. Perfect 4 for 4 so far, and his favorite target has been Jeff Query, who's also getting his first start for Cincinnati. But they told us yesterday that Klingler would come out throwing. That's exactly what he's done.
The gunslinger from Houston debuts in the NFL.
1st and 10 from the Steeler 25. Chased out of the pocket and is sacked by Gerald Williams. Williams just activated for this game after missing the last 6 games for Pittsburgh. He was placed on IR last month with a right knee sprain, so Klingler feels his first NFL sack.
First NFL sack, and this is a sense, as a quarterback, you have to feel this from the backside. Klingler is still looking downfield, showing a lot of composure, but he doesn't feel. You can't see Gerald Williams, a lineman, when he's behind you, but he didn't feel him.
Well, that's a loss of 8 yards, 2nd and 18. The free wideout set for Klingler again. And once again, he's got a lot of room to roam across the 25 inside of it. But it'll still be well short of the first down. Hardy Nickerson, the left inside linebacker, made the stop.
One of the things that David Shula and Boomer Esiason talked about was a lack of support from an offensive line that has been riddled. Anthony Munoz is out, and that is forcing David Klingler to do some of the scrambling, but wisely, again, feet first to avoid the big hit.
Well, there's Boomer Esiason. Told us yesterday he would do everything he could do to help David Klingler in his first NFL start. 3rd and 9. Klingler feels the pressure again, and down he goes at the 36-yard line. Gerald Williams makes the sack for Pittsburgh.
And that time, David Klingler almost looked a little too casual. A wise move by the Bengals, move the pocket, get him away from the rush. But Williams just came up the middle. He was untouched and made the sack. And the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't noted for sacks. Coming into the game, they only had 17, and that's 2nd worst in the NFL. So it's not a real pressure defense. They're more, as you said before, Dan, opportunistic.
Well, 2 sacks have taken the Bengals out of field goal range, and Lee Johnson will punt it away with Rod Woodson deep for the Steelers. And the play clock is run down, and Cincinnati will back up and give Johnson a little bit more field to work with.
Wise penalty.
Delay of game. Offense. Penalty declined. 4th down.
Jerry Markwright, our referee this afternoon.
But they counter by declining the penalty. The Steelers do, so a little bit of strategy going back and forth there.
Well, Rod Woodson is a threat anytime he's back there to receive punts. In fact, he had a 76-yard punt return for a touchdown called back last week in the Steelers win. Johnson angles this one toward the left sideline, but it bounces into the end zone. Reggie Rembert chased it into the end zone, but he was too late. So the Bengals will start 1st and 10 from their 20. Pittsburgh with an early 7-0 lead. Well, Pittsburgh Steeler defensive coordinator Dom Capers must get a little bit confused. That is number 57, Gerald Williams, behind Greg Lloyd there. He had one of the 2 sacks that took the Bengals out of field goal range. Now, that's Gerald, J-E-R-R-O-L. Gerald, G-E-R-A-L-D, Williams was activated at nose tackle today, so we'll have to watch our rosters carefully, John.
Come on, I'm confused enough.
Barry Foster through the middle for maybe a yard. Gary Reasons, the right inside linebacker, made the stop.
Gary Reasons, of course, so many good years with the New York Giants, and he had that knee problem. He was unprotected by the Giants. Interesting, last week, Gary Reasons was on his way to the stadium when they were playing the Lions, got in a fairly serious car accident, shook it off, came and played a really good game. So that shows you how tough Reasons is.
Two tight ends for Neil O'Donnell. He throws to the left sideline, intended for Jeff Graham. And it is complete to Graham, who has missed the last 2 games out with a sprained ankle. So he's back in the starting lineup.
And Jeff Graham is Neil O'Donnell's favorite target. This is good comeback for the ball because there was excellent coverage by number 22, Thomas. See Thomas react, almost get his hand in there, but no, a nice catch by Graham, keeps his feet in bounds.
Jeff Graham, the second-year man out of Ohio State. A gain of 8, 3rd and 2. And this is a snap to the up-back Leroy Thompson, and the Bengals were not fooled at all. Strong safety David Fulcher was blitzing on the play.
And if you take a look at it, David Fulcher is one of those big safeties, 6'3", 235 pounds. He comes on the blitz. He's like another linebacker, and he makes the play. He also obviously gets a little help there from some of his teammates and swarming defense.
Well, Mark Royal's punt, fielded by Carl Pickens at the 22. And he'll be dragged down at the 25 for a return of 3. Brought down by Richard Shelton. And once again, we'll get another look at David Klingler, who will come in for his 3rd series. Next Sunday, NBC Sports presenting another exciting NFL doubleheader football action beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time with NFL Live. Then most of you will see these same Pittsburgh Steelers meet up with the Seattle Seahawks, or the Bengals taking on the division rival Cleveland Browns, or the Jets in the build in the second half of the doubleheader. A big one, Miami at Candlestick Park to take on the San Francisco 49ers. The Steelers up 7-0, 2:04 left in the first quarter. David Klingler on the Bengals with a 1st and 10. Pump fake, then Klingler comes out of the pocket and is complete to the tight end, Craig Thompson.
You know, it's all not pure athletic ability. Klingler has all that. He's a 6'10" high jumper. He's got 4'7" speed. He's got a great arm. Quarterbacks have to have confidence, almost bordering on arrogance, and presence of mind. Here he shows that. His primary receiver is covered. The rush is on, scrambles a little bit, flips it for the completion. Look at that, 5 of 5. Perfect in the NFL.
Just retired with a 5 for 5 statistic. 2nd down and 3. This time we'll go deep downfield. Oh. That was Jeff Query down there, but step for step was Rod Woodson, and Klingler just simply threw it away.
But you see the velocity on that, and Klingler ought to be unhappy because he had Query open along the sideline, but sometimes, especially for a young guy who has never taken a snap, the adrenaline's pumping, and this ball is just simply overthrown on the line. He was open. That ball could have been a completion.
Yeah, Woodson seemed to think that Query was headed downfield, and Klingler clearly upset that he missed Query.
First incompletion
of his young NFL career. There's sure to be more. 3rd and 3, though. His running back, Harold Green, will pick up the 1st down. Carnell Lake, the strong safety, on the stop. So Harold Green, we mentioned the yardage of Barry Foster coming into this game, but Harold Green came into this game with 714 yards, and he needs to average just 58 yards a game down the stretch of this season to pick up 1,000 yards as well and have a 1,000-yard season.
And David Klingler needs Harold Green to take some of the pressure off. Steelers are going to eventually come. They're starting to blitz more. You're seeing more of their dime package with extra defensive backs.
Klingler wanted Craig Thompson, but the pass was overthrown, and so Klingler has missed his second receiver.
He's got such a strong arm and such a quick release. The coaches talk about David Klingler, not just his ability, but Boomer will tell you, as will David Shula, that he's quick everywhere. Quick of mind, quick of feet, quick of release, and that's what they like about him.
They like his intelligence, and that is so very important in the NFL with all the defensive mixes that are thrown at you. And the Steelers have come at David Klingler today. They've blitzed him. He's been sacked a couple of times. This time he gives it to his running back, Harold Green, who has excellent yardage, breaks free of a tackle, and is pushed out of bounds at the 29-yard line by Sammy Walker.
A great call, a terrific run for Harold Green. Takes some of the pressure off the rookie quarterback. Take a look at this blocking and this cutback run by Green. He's big, he's strong, he's got good speed, and he doesn't go down with arm tackles, as you see there. 6'2", 222 pounds. First down.
And on one play, which was good for 34 yards there, Harold Green outrushes his total of last week. He had just 26 yards. And the gun sounds in the first quarter. The Pittsburgh Steelers up 7-0. Once again, the Cincinnati Bengals and David Klingler are threatening. Steelers up 7-0 on Cincinnati, but it has been all the Bengals as far as the first quarter statistics are concerned. Boomer Esiason watching from the sidelines as David Klingler has the Bengals in excellent field position on the big 34-yard run by Harold Green. They're at the 29. Play fake by Klingler, and this is complete to Rodney Holman, the tight end. David Little on the stop.
And you talk to the receivers, to Holman, to Pickens, to McGee, and they tell you it's a little more concentration required with David Klingler because his ball has a little more velocity, so they really have to pay attention. And watch Holman here. He goes up, catches it with his hands just as he's being hit. This is a terrific catch by the tight end.
The veteran tight end in his 11th season out of Tulane did not have a catch last week, but that's a gain of 9. And on second down and 1, Harold Green could be short of the first down. And we'll step aside here from Riverfront Stadium and head to our New York studios for an update. And Bob Costas.
Dan, let's look in on the action at the Superdome in New Orleans. Bobby Hebert behind good protection throws a perfect ball to Quinn Early in between two defenders. 32-yard pickup down to the 1. Dalton Hilliard takes it across from there in a battle of 8 and 3 teams. The home club, the Saints, leading the Dolphins 7-0.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Pittsburgh up 7-0 here, and on 3rd and 1, excellent play fake by Klingler, but he is being chased, eludes one tackler, and picks up the first down. Greg Lloyd had him on the run, but Klingler was able to shake him and pick up the first down.
Athletic ability, escapability in the NFL. Right here, you'll see David Klingler. Klingler has all that because Greg Lloyd, number 95, the linebacker, you'll see him come into your picture on the right, is a mobile linebacker and a terrific tackler, yet Klingler shrugs him off, picks up the first down.
You know, Klingler said that Boomer helped him with his play fakes this week. That's been one of Boomer's strengths throughout his NFL career, and Klingler with an excellent play fake there had the whole Steeler defense fooled. And on 1st and 10, Klingler to throw. In the end zone, he was going for Tim McGee. And on the coverage for Pittsburgh was D.J. Johnson. But it is incomplete.
You know, we've been talking a lot about David Klingler and his strong arm, and you get a sense of that here. Watch how quickly this ball gets there, and also watch how he stays in the pocket. This is just a post corner, and the ball is thrown well, but what you didn't see there was the pocket was starting to close around him, yet he just stayed right in it. But you see the velocity of that ball? It was never more than 6 feet off the ground.
Well, they've said David Klingler can throw it 83 yards. I think that's one of his best tosses, casual tosses on the practice field, so there is no questioning the strength of his arm. He's in trouble here, and he'll go down for the 3rd time today. Donald Evans, the right end for the Steelers, brought Klingler down, and that'll be a loss.
Some of this has to do with sense, and that comes with experience. And the Steelers, not noted for sacks, only 17 all year long, have 4 sacks now. Some of that is just a quarterback getting used to the feel, the speed, the rhythm of the NFL. Here he holds the ball a little too long. He doesn't get rid of it, and his offensive line doesn't give him much support, so Klingler goes down for the 4th time.
3rd and 11. And Klingler wants a timeout after analyzing the Pittsburgh defense. And he'll have that 3rd down and 11 when we return to Riverfront. Well, it's been no different for David Klingler. Boomer Esiason had to deal with several combinations on the offensive line for Cincinnati this year. It is the 9th different offensive line combination for Cincinnati in its 12 games this year. And David Klingler's been on the run today, John.
It's one of the reasons he's been sacked so much early. You saw number 77, Kevin Sargent, and he replaces this man. Talked about legends in Cincinnati with Boomer leaving and sitting on the bench. Well, how about Anthony Munoz? 11 times a Pro Bowl selection out of his 12 years.
And Kevin Sargent has been filling in for Munoz at the left tackle position. Steelers in the dime package on 3rd and 11. Klingler flushed out again, and will not get the pass off. Donald Evans forced him out of bounds. And that should bring out the field goal unit for the Bengals.
And that might surprise you that a guy like number 66, a big lineman, can catch him. This might have been a late hit. He holds on, he holds on. He had him before he went out of bounds, so probably it's a little welcoming committee to the NFL. But Donald Evans, such speed. He was actually drafted as a running back by the Rams in the 2nd round, so that's why he has so much speed, much more than your usual defensive lineman.
33-yard field goal attempt for Jim Breach. He's 11 from 11 from this distance, 40 yards and in for the year. Make that 12 for 12. As the Bengals this time come away with 3 points. Pittsburgh still leads it 7-3. Back to Riverfront in a moment. The Cincinnati Bengals on the scoreboard for the first time this afternoon. Jim Breach's 33-yard field goal has made the score Pittsburgh 7, Cincinnati 3, and Breach kicks off a low driving kick into the end zone where Rod Woodson will step back and down it for Pittsburgh, so they'll come out 1st and 10 from the 20. We mentioned Barry Foster needing 30 yards to break Franco Harris's team single-season rushing mark. Barry has some work to do. He's got just 2 yards on 3 carries so far.
3 carries, that's a shocker because, you know, Barry Foster is the Pittsburgh Steeler offense, and he likes to get the ball about 25 times a game, and he's well short of getting on that pace right now.
Well, he also needs 9 all-purpose yards to break Franco Harris's team record in that category. On 1st and 10, he'll get the call. Right side, and this time Barry has the 1st down and a good gain across the 30-yard line before he's brought down by David Fulcher.
And it's important to note, Dan, that he's also battling Emmitt Smith, who had that big day against the Giants for the NFL rushing lead. And an interesting bit of trivia is the last guy for the Steelers to win the NFL rushing title, Bullet Bill Dudley, back in 1946.
And only you would know that, being a former Steeler. And we'll have proof of John Doherty being a former Steeler a little bit later on in this game. Gain of 11 and a 1st down for Barry Foster. And this time it's left across the 30. Alonzo Mitz on the stop for the Bengals.
And Bill Cowher, in his 1st year as head coach, he's got his team 8-3. They're in the division lead, and he's going back to what he does best, and that is a Barry Foster run-oriented offense, play opportunistic defense, use good special teams. That's how he got to be 8-3, and that's how he wants to win this game today.
Gain of 3 for Foster. 2nd and 7. O'Donnell going deep down the sidelines. Intended for Graham, incomplete, and Rod Jones had excellent coverage.
It's interesting to see them pick on Jeff Graham back after an ankle injury. Rod Jones is the man that has been picked on all year for the Cincinnati Bengals. Here he has great coverage, stride for stride. The ball is beautifully thrown. Look at that. Actually in his hands, Graham's hands, but then great reaction by Jones to grab his arm. Terrific play both sides.
3 wide receivers in the Steeler offensive set now on 3rd and 7. O'Donnell had Jeff Graham, who just dropped the ball.
A nice scheme. They widened out the Bengal defense. They put in extra receivers. Graham simply came over the middle. He was wide open and dropped the ball. Nothing you can say about it. He is rusty. He's been out a couple of weeks.
So punting it away is Mark Broyles, a rather short punt fielded by Pickens at the 27. And we'll be back to Riverfront Stadium with Pittsburgh up 7-3. We talked with David Klingler yesterday. He says this is really his first experience in cold weather as a quarterback. It's 31 degrees out there in the field. He didn't have to deal with any of these chilly conditions while an All-American in Houston. And there was movement on the line. Gerald Williams, the nose tackle, moved across for Pittsburgh.
Encroachment, number 98, defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So 1st and 5 for the Bengals.
You know, we haven't talked much about the motivation for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but let's make it clear this is a critical game. You know, they're hoping to win their first division in 8 years, and Bob Costas showed us a few moments ago that New Orleans is beating Miami, and heck, that would be good for the Steelers, but they have to win today. They can't go on a slide here.
Was right on the money to Thompson, but the tight end couldn't hang on. And Klingler once again is seeing everything the Steelers can throw at him.
So you want to be a quarterback in the NFL, folks? Take a look. This is what happens. Nice touch on the ball. He gets rid of it, and then he says, hello. He gets bounced around. Yeah, look at his own guy there. Tom Raham was trying to hold him up. You get the feeling like you're a pinball if you're a quarterback in the NFL. You know, bounced around.
Suddenly, after completing 5 of his first passes, they're now 6 for 10, and on 2nd and 5, looks to the right side and almost picked off by Rod Woodson, who had stepped in front of the intended receiver, Tim McGee. Woodson very close to another interception. He already has 3 this year.
See him settling down there and then reading the quarterback. Great reaction by Woodson, but he knew that something short was coming by the drop of the quarterback. That was great reaction. And you look at the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now coming with their dime defense, 2 extra defensive backs.
That is Pickens in motion. Klingler out of the pocket again. Dragged out of bounds at the 37-yard line. Rod Woodson rushed him out, and now Klingler seems to be a little bit confused. He is feeling the heat from Pittsburgh. He's
feeling the heat in a different way, too. They use very creative defense, the Pittsburgh Steelers do. They come with defensive backs on the rush. They had 2 extra defensive backs in there. So David Klingler, despite all of that great training in college where he saw a lot of defenses, today is seeing some creative defenses from the Steelers and is having trouble.
It was a gain of a couple, but it is 4th and 2, and Lee Johnson set to punt. Rod Woodson back. High angling punt toward the left sideline. That'll be marked at the 24. Coming up, NFL Live, an interview with the San Diego Chargers general manager Bobby Beathard. The Chargers enjoying an outstanding season after an 0-4 start. Bob Costas will also have all of the scores and highlights from this NFL Sunday. Coming up at halftime, the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. Dan Hampton also in the New York studios along with O.J. Simpson. The Chicago Bears have been in a slide, and Hampton, of course, will have some insight as to what is exactly going on in Chicago. Here at Riverfront Stadium, the Steelers with a 7-0 lead, and this is Barry Foster. Foster chasing Franco Harris's single-season rushing record. Foster needed 15 yards.
And that's one of the reasons they turned the offense over to Barry Foster. He has that burst, and you saw it there on that run.
And that burst gives Barry Foster the record, 21 yards. He now has 36 yards in the game, so he is the new single-season rushing record holder for Pittsburgh. And this is Foster across the 40 to the 43-yard line. And at the top of the show, we mentioned that Barry Foster would be running on hallowed ground. Franco Harris, a Hall of Fame running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers from 1972 to 1983. He set the single-season rushing mark back in 1975, and that was one of 8 seasons when he broke the 1,000-yard barrier. And John Dockery, you played and had a chance to see Franco Harris.
Franco Harris, so good for so long.
O'Donnell throwing to the left sidelines, intended for Jeff Graham. Eric Thomas batted it away.
An excellent play by Thomas, simply an out pattern, and he does it so well. That left arm, he doesn't touch the receiver. It's great reaction here by Thomas.
3rd down and 7 for Pittsburgh. They have 4 wide receivers. Ernie Mills at the bottom of the screen. He's the 3rd down receiver. And O'Donnell finds Jeff Graham, and that should be good for the 1st down. Darrell Williams, the rookie free safety.
And Jeff Graham is the most polished of the receivers. Runs the good routes, have a good, and here he's just a good fake. He freezes the defensive back for a second and then breaks inside, and the reaction time for Ricky Dixon, who's covering him, not enough as the ball gets there from O'Donnell at the right time for the completion.
Jeff Graham, born in Dayton, Ohio. He lives there. First and 10, 2 tight ends. And the record holder, Barry Foster, bursts ahead for another big gain. A flag has been dropped.
It looked like the Cincinnati Bengals were offside. They were anxious to get the rush, and they were off. And it looked like a defensive back, maybe David Fulcher, number 33 from the outside. He was anxious.
The call against the Bengals. There is David Fulcher in his 7th year from Arizona State, 3-time Pro Bowler. Playing a little different scheme in Ron Lynn's defensive operation now. Blitzes a lot, doesn't make near as many tackles as he used to. And Foster it appears has the 1st down. But there seems to be some confusion.
I don't know why.
Offside, number 33, defense. Penalty is declined, and it is a 1st down.
1st down, decline the penalty, get on with it.
So Barry Foster has a couple of records today of Franco Harris. He has the all-purpose yards mark in a single season by Franco, and he has the single season rushing mark by Franco Harris. And, you know, it only took Barry Foster 10 games to reach the 1,000-yard barrier. It took Franco Harris 12 games to reach the 1,000-yard mark. And we have another stoppage of play. There seems to be a problem with the play clock.
First charge timeout, Pittsburgh.
And now the Pittsburgh Steelers have called a timeout. And so will we. We'll be back to Riverfront with the Steelers up 7-3. Well, the Steelers were just charged with a timeout, and there is Pittsburgh coach Bill Cowher wondering why, because his quarterback Neil O'Donnell had to call a timeout because the play clock had malfunctioned. And O'Donnell going up top, and it'll be intercepted by David Fulcher, the strong safety.
Simply a terrible throw by O'Donnell. He threw it up, it hung up, it allowed Fulcher to come up. If you take a look at this again, O'Donnell must be, he just wasn't sharp. Mentally, he was off. He was trying to, he's going down the sideline. Take a look at this, right? He wants to hit narrow hearts down the sideline. 33, Fulcher is covering 33. Ball should be thrown out and over the top, so only Hodge can catch it, number 33 in white, but instead, inside, Fulcher, good position, makes the interception. Terrible throw.
And about the only consolation for Pittsburgh is that the Bengals are pinned on their own 2.5-yard line. So David Fulcher with the interception for Cincinnati. His first pick of this season.
All right, another situation for the rookie. How does he like being in his own end zone and trying to bring the ball out?
Well, he'll hand this off to Green, and that'll give the Bengals some breathing room. Aaron Jones and David Little making a stop for Steelers. The Steelers lead at 7-3.
And Dave Schuler and Boomer Esiason have simplified things for Klingler. Two fronts, maximum protection, keeping the backs in, or else read the blitz from the slot and get rid of the ball. Everything else is out.
2nd and 8 for Klingler. He'll throw out of his own end zone, and down he goes. The ball is loose. And I believe Kevin Sargent recovered for Cincinnati, but David Little of the Steelers stripped the ball from Klingler before Sargent was able to recover, and it was very close to a safety.
One of the lessons a young quarterback has to learn is when to get rid of the ball. Here, the pressure's on. Hey, get rid of it. He tries to run it out. The ball comes loose. Lucky for the Bengals that Sargent was there to come up with a recovery, or else another gift touchdown for the Steelers, who got one earlier on that fake punt situation.
5th sack of the day on David Klingler. And he's lucky the Steelers didn't have a safety or an excellent field position. 3rd and 10. He'll simply hand it off to Green and take no chances. So David Klingler feeling the heat again. Aaron Jones made the tackle. So this drive goes nowhere for Cincinnati, and they'll have to punt it away, and the Steelers anticipating great field position as Rod Woodson will stand back at about the 45-yard line. Lee Johnson backed up deep in his own end zone. And whistles have come in from every direction. Jerry Markbright, the referee.
You know, David Chu.
Offense. Half the distance to the goal. Fourth down.
Once again, the play clock had expired on Cincinnati. David Shulo.
That's not exactly something you want to happen to you with your punter already backed up in his end zone.
So Lee Johnson will have even less room to work with. Barely gets it off. Woodson from the 43 to about the 31-yard line before Ricardo McDonald dragged him down. That ball very close to being blocked.
Pittsburgh Steelers have great special teams. They almost get to this. Watch how close it comes to being blocked. He did well to get rid of it. See, right there, over the top, almost. And Woodson on the other end of that picked the ball up on the bounce to prevent it from losing 10, 15 more yards. An excellent play.
Excellent field position now for Pittsburgh at the Bengal 31. Foster across the 25, inside the 10, inside the 5-yard line. Barry Foster finally dragged down by Eric Thomas. First and goal for Pittsburgh.
Vintage Barry Foster. He just keeps pounding away, pounding away. He's not a guy that will often break an 80-yard run, and he may not be in the elite with the Barry Sanders and the other great runners, Emmitt Smith, but he gets it done, and he's swifter than you think. He makes people miss. You saw him right there, and he makes it happen for the Steelers.
Well, he hits the holes with such authority, and
acceleration is the word, Dan.
The opposition has had a tough time bringing down Foster. You don't bring him down with just one tackler. First and goal. Foster again, looking for his hole, hitting it, and getting down to the 2.5, 3-yard line. Gary Reasons was there to meet it.
And you know what his offensive linemen appreciate about Barry Foster is his patience as a runner. He'll wait till they get their block, and then he'll turn on the burst and make some yards.
We have reached the 2-minute warning of the first half. Pittsburgh has a 7-3 lead, and they're about to add to it when we return. 2-minute warning here at Riverfront Stadium. Pittsburgh up 7-3, and we mentioned how important Barry Foster has been in this offense. The focal point comprising 38% of the Steelers' total offense. He was off to a slow start today with just 15 yards on 5 carries, but now has 77 on 10 and bowls his way into the end zone for the touchdown.
The prototype power back. He's compact. He's a little like Barry Sanders in that way. He's 5'10", 217 pounds. He's low to the ground. He's actually stronger than Sanders, and that time he shows his strength on that 4-yard touchdown run.
Barry Foster with his 8th touchdown of the season. Gary Anderson for the point after. And the Steelers have taken a 14-3 lead, 1:55 left in the first half.
And you can take a look at Barry Foster's power as he takes that ball into the end zone and touch. Take a look down. It's just a simple pitch. He looks like he bobbles it a little bit. Right there, he has trouble getting the handle. Then he just turns up. And right there, no one player takes him down. Darrell Williams had a great shot, number 31 defensive back. But Barry Foster is just simply too strong, too low to the ground for one player to handle him, and a nice spin at the end so you don't get a clean shot, and barrels his way into the end zone.
And how his stock has risen. He was the 19th running back chosen in the NFL draft out of Arkansas 3 years ago.
And are you telling me there were 127 players that were better than Barry Foster in that draft? Whoa.
I think a lot of NFL owners would love to do that draft over again, but Barry Foster has arrived in the right offensive scheme. He's getting many of the carries. In fact, he was so disappointed a few years ago. He wasn't getting enough carries, wasn't a big enough focal point in the offense that he even thought about leaving the game.
I know, he was going to retire because he wasn't doing it. Thought about, becoming maybe a policeman or a state trooper.
This is Milt Stiegel on the return for Cincinnati. He'll get it across the 20 to the 21-yard line. And David Klingler is back in the fire again. Backed up at his own goal line just a few moments ago. And at least he'll have a little more breathing room here at the 21. But the Steelers have had him on the run all afternoon.
Take a look. 2 hurries, 1 knockdown, 5 sacks from a team that was second lowest in the NFL. Tough afternoon, but some impressive moments. You see some of that sparkle, some of that talent.
This is Green. He'll pick up about 5 yards to the 27-yard line. Greg Lloyd met him.
And it's interesting talking to David Klingler. What do you do when you're going to take your first NFL snap ever in a league? What do? You call your buddy, Andre Ware, and talk to him.
Hurry up offense for David Klingler. He knows what this is all about, but that pass never had a chance. It was intended for Jeff Query. And the clock stops at 1:25 left in the first half.
You know, we're talking about David Klingler. He called Andre Ware, who is mired on the bench. You know, he's wallowing there in Detroit, hoping to get some opportunity to find out if he can play or maybe he can leave. David Klingler calls him regularly, and you know what Andre Ware said to him? He said, hey, when you get out there, just settle down, find your rhythm, and do what you do well.
Well, the Bengals have called a timeout, and we'll be back to Riverfront in a moment. Back at Riverfront Stadium, some more confusion with the play clock. The Bengals were not charged with an official timeout, unlike a couple of moments ago when Bill Cowher's team was charged with a timeout after some problems with the play clock. And here's Klingler. And he's got Carl Pickens, the rookie out of Tennessee, making his first catch of the game. Clock continuing to roll now, 1:06. The ball at the 40-yard line. And this is complete. Jeff Query right side at the 49-yard line.
And the rookie's getting a taste of everything today. Yeah, I'll get sacked. Yeah, I'll complete my first 5 passes. Oh, yeah, I'll run the hurry-up offense, which he did so well at Houston. And you see that quick release. In the presence of mind, he starts to scramble. Bingo. He finds a receiver. I'm impressed with David Klingler.
2nd and 1. You see the time left in the first half. Klingler had plenty of time that time, and he's got Thompson, the tight end. Hardy Nickerson made the stop. Clock inside of 45 seconds now. 1st and 10 for Cincinnati. Klingler has the Steelers defense on its heels now. Oh! Deep downfield intended for Query. Rod Woodson in there pressuring Klingler, who is lucky to get it off.
What the Steelers love to do is to come with the cornerback blitz. Rod Woodson, defensive back, watch him come from the lower part of your screen, and watch the Matador tuck underneath Woodson right there, and then come up. How's this for presence of mind? Yeah, he overthrows it, but boy, you know, he's down in his dark hole. He can't see anything. He steps up and looks for a receiver and throws it away. Yo, Klingler, nice move.
And how close was Rod Woodson to picking up his 5th sack of the year? Klingler's athletic ability able to avoid that one. 2nd and 10. 24 seconds left.
Here they come again.
Klingler on the run to the left side. He'll get out of bounds. And he's got the first down with 17 seconds left. Aaron Jones ran him out.
Make things happen. Boomer didn't have quite the escapability that the young guy has. In its circumstance, losing offensive that was not performing, it was time for David Klingler to replace Boomer Esiason. That time, Steelers came with a safety blitz. Carnell Lake, he saw it, he got outside, and he made the first down. This man makes things happen. A little of a John Elway in it.
Such a difference between Klingler and Esiason and the mobility factor. And we've seen it.
It's a huge difference.
So many times early this afternoon. Klingler to throw on 1st and 10. Going down the left sideline and into the end zone. Query never had a chance, and that stops the clock with 11 seconds left. Darren Perry, the rookie out of Penn State, on the coverage.
But you see the ease with which Klingler throws the ball. It's not a lot of effort. He simply seems to say, okay, I want to throw it there, and then like a Namath or a Marino, he just gets it there. The decision's made, and bingo, he lets it ride with the quick release and the strong arm.
Yeah, Cincinnati has one timeout left. Klingler was just asking exactly how many timeouts he had left, and with 11 seconds to go, the handoff is to Harold Green. Cincinnati calls a quick timeout that stops the clock with 5 seconds to go, and here comes Jim Breach.
And again, the quarterback is plugged into the coach Dave Schuler and getting help from Boomer. He was thinking that, heck, we'll run the draw, we'll set up for the field goal. As soon as the play was over, there was Klingler right with the official calling the timeout.
Well, the way they drove up the field that time, it wouldn't be a bad thought to run the hurry up against the Steelers all game long.
You might see some of that. Of course, the Bengals have abandoned that. They did it so well, but who knows? They may come back to it.
So Jim Breach is on to attempt his second field goal of the game. Had the 33-yarder earlier. He is 12 for 12 this season from 40 yards and in.
Super high.
Breach in his 14th year out of Cal, deadly from this distance. Actually, this is a 40-plus yard field goal. This is a 42-yard attempt for Breach. He has it up leg, and it is good. So Jim Breach, with his second field goal of the afternoon, has pulled the Bengals within 8, 14-6, Pittsburgh at halftime. Back at Riverfront Stadium, the Pittsburgh Steelers with a 14-6 lead over the Cincinnati Bengals at halftime. Dan Hicks back with John Dockery. What are your impressions of this hotshot college quarterback making his NFL debut so far?
I like him. He showed some escapability. He showed some mobility. And he showed an incredibly strong arm. I like him. I think we're seeing the debut of a star.
Well, there's no doubting his athletic ability. Look at this avoid of the Rod Woodson sack.
And think about the athletic ability of Rod Woodson, yet Klingler makes him miss. Shades of Marino, shades of Joe Willie Namath, shades of Montana. Cool, he's good.
Well, he's been sacked 5 times today, but Klingler and the Bengals in this one at halftime. Let's send it back to our New York studios and Bob Cox.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
Okay, welcome to those of you watching the games from New Orleans and Cincinnati. Bob Costas with Dan Hampton and O.J. Simpson. We hear from them momentarily, but first to the scoreboard. The Dolphins and the Saints, the game some of you folks are watching, each 8-3, records even, score even. At the half, 7 apiece. Here's how each team did it. Bobby Hebert in the first quarter. We'll find Quinn Early with a perfectly thrown ball, good for a 32-yard gain down to the 1. Dalton Hilliard scored from there. 7-0 Saints. Dan Marino, though, able to get his passing game going on a 12-play, 80-yard drive, stepping away from the pressure, finding Tony Martin for the first down, 19-yard gain, 1st and goal at the 6. 2 plays later, it's Mark Duper on the receiving end of the tying touchdown. It's even at 7, and that's where they stand at halftime. Marino had been having trouble with his protection the last couple of weeks, sacked 8 times, sacked only 1 time in the first half to this point in the game. Cleveland and Chicago. The Bears have just scored a touchdown on a Peter Tom Willis pass to Neil Anderson. There's an injury on the play, and so they haven't attempted the extra point yet. So pending the extra point, it's the Browns 13 and the Bears 6. David Brandon intercepted a Peter Tom Willis pass in the first quarter and brought it back 92 yards for a touchdown. Bernie Kosar is back at quarterback in place of the former Bear Mike Tomczak now. for the Browns. He was 5 of 12 in the first half, at least to this point, for 25 yards passing. So the Browns basically getting it done on defense. The game some of you folks are watching finds Pittsburgh trying to extend their record to 9-3 and leading at Cincinnati 14-6. Boomer Esiason out today and probably out for the rest of the year as they take a look at young David Klingler at quarterback. Early on, they try the fake, the snap to the up man, Eric Ball off punt formation, but Ball can't handle it, and Charles Davenport does, 32 yards for the touchdown and a 7-0 lead for Pittsburgh. Klingler feeling the pressure here. Gerald Williams from his linebacker spot, 12-yard loss, and it pushed Cincinnati out of field goal range. Klingler completed his first 5, but he wound up 9 of 17 with 5 sacks for the half. Barry Foster stutter-stepping here on this play, passes Franco Harris for the all-time best single-season rushing total for a Pittsburgh Steeler, and he continues with a 2-yard touchdown a bit later. He has gone past Emmitt Smith at this point in the season. Smith played on Thanksgiving in the Cowboys' win over the Giants and is idle today, so Foster has passed Smith and has the rushing lead overall in the league at this point, and the Steelers lead it 14-6 at the half. Washington finally finding some offense, leading at home, halftime at RFK over the Phoenix Cardinals, a team that upset them earlier this year in Phoenix. The score is 20-3. Kansas City on a pair of Nick Lowry field goals leading at the Meadowlands 6-0 over the Jets at halftime. Atlanta finally finds some offense of their own. Billy Joe Tolliver has thrown touchdown passes to Steve Broussard and Drew Hill. They lead at home over New England 24-0. They've gone to the half at the Georgia Dome, and it's also halftime at County Stadium in Milwaukee on 3 Chris Jackie field goals. The Packers, who have won 3 of their last 4 and could go to 500 with a victory today over the Bucks, leading 9-7. Miami and New Orleans, Juice.
I got to tell you, I'm really impressed with Miami. I think their 80-yard touchdown drive was very impressive. 12 plays, 80 yards. I don't think there was an easy play in the bunch. Marino is 17 of 21 against the second-rated pass defense in the league, and I think the reason for that is I think New Orleans is stunned. Their defensive backs are stunned. Marino is throwing the balls to receivers that no other quarterback would try to get the pass to. Marino has a lot of confidence in that arm. He's completing passes. I'm sure the Miami defensive players are saying, I had the guy covered. And it's sort of breaking these guys down on defense morally.
Well, he's always been one of the best in the league at smoking that ball in there on tight coverage, but he's getting a lot of help from the backs and the tight end, Keith Jackson, keeping those pass rushers off of him.
And another notable point about this is the fact that he hasn't been sacked. He's only sacked once, and no pressure's coming up the middle with Burt Weiner, who is started 2 weeks ago, has given up like eight sacks in the last 2 weeks. Today he only has 1 sack, and that's very important for Marino, for guys not to rush him in his face. They can get the pressure outside, but not up the middle.
Okay, the Bears, by the way, made the extra point. They trailed late in the first half at Cleveland 13-7. We step aside and talk things over with the general manager of the suddenly hot San Diego Chargers. Our former running mate here on NFL Live, Bobby Beathard, will be with us following these messages from your local stations.
Dan Hicks and John Dockery back at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, where the Pittsburgh Steelers have a 14-6 halftime lead over the Bengals. And a quick look at our Coors Light halftime stats. And one of the stats that jumps out and hits you right between the eyes is the sacks. 5 for the Pittsburgh Steelers on the NFL quarterback making his debut, David Klingler. And
if you were to ask me what the Steelers will continue to do, they'll continue to come after the young quarterback and try to sack him and throw him off more. But also, look at this. 156 are actually the Cincinnati Bengals have more yardage than do the Pittsburgh Steelers. And but for one botched punt, fake punt, hey, this game would be 7-6.
Milt Stiegel back deep, but this is Eric Ball to take the opening kickoff of the second half. And he'll get it just across the 20-yard line. Darrell Ford, number 94 for Pittsburgh, made the stop.
Dan, what I was referring to for the folks that haven't been with us for the whole game is early in the game, the Bengals had a punt. They tried a fake punt. They botched it. Steelers picked it up, took it in for an early score, went up 7-0.
Well, David Klingler made an impressive drive for Cincinnati in the closing moments of the first half, which enabled Jim Breach to kick the 42-yard field goal, his second of the game. And Klingler seemed much more at ease in the hurry-up offense. At least Pittsburgh wasn't able to get after him as much. He'll go down for the 6th time. David Little and Gerald Williams. And you know, if you're Bill Cowher, you're not going to change the game plan in the locker room. They're going to keep coming at David Klingler.
And that's the only way to disrupt him. Don't give him time to set up, and just keep coming out. You had 5 sacks in the first half. Hey, come with the pressure. come with the linebackers and let David Little get the sack.
That is Little's third sack of the game. He's the undisputed leader of this Pittsburgh defense. Leading tackler 4 out of the last 5 years. This is Harold Green on 2nd and long.
Classic call. How do you deal with big pressure? Your quarterback being sacked, you come with the draw. Why not try a screen? Get it back out of the backfield, flip him the ball, let him run. That's where Harold Green becomes so important for David Schuler's offense.
3rd and 12 for Klingler. As you take a look at Harold Green's numbers on the day. Klingler right sideline. That was intended for the wide receiver Tim McGee. And Sammy Walker on the coverage for Pittsburgh as they came with that dime package on 3rd and long.
The dime package has been effective for them all year long. Confuses quarterbacks. They move their defensive backs around. They come with the blitz with defensive backs who are very quick. But as a matter of fact, Rod Woodson, as we mentioned earlier, the leading sacker on this Pittsburgh Steelers team, he's a cornerback. That's unheard of. It's outrageous.
So 3 and out on Cincinnati's first series of the second half. Lee Johnson standing at his own 5-yard line. Rod Woodson back deep. High spiraling ball. Woodson lets it land, and it takes a good Steelers bounce. So Pittsburgh will be in Cincinnati territory to begin its first series of the second half. And Neil O'Donnell, who did not have a first half to remember, just 3 of 8 for 33 yards in the first half.
It's interesting. Neil O'Donnell owns the quarterback position for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, Bubby Brister played well last week. They got a victory, but O'Donnell is the man. He's back from that hamstring. It doesn't seem to be giving him any problem. And Cowher simply said, hey, you take over.
And the Steelers take over in Bengals territory. Foster across the 45. James Francis, the left outside linebacker for the Bengals, made the stop. And what a game James Francis had last week. Last week's line on Francis: 2 interceptions, 7 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 passes broken up, and a forced fumble. In fact, he outgained the Bengal offense with his 2 interception returns.
Oh, be kind now. He is an incredible force on defense.
Foster again. Gary Reasons stacks him up. It was a 2nd down and 6 call, so that will bring up 3rd down.
Pittsburgh is a dangerous situation for Pittsburgh. Look, you're the division leader. You're concerned about the playoffs. You're ahead here 14-6. Remember the playoff situation. 3 division leaders, 3 wild cards. The division leaders with the best records get a bye first round. And then there's all of that about the home field advantage. So for Bill Cowher and the Steelers, hey, this is a critical game.
Bengals on the left side moving across, and it looked like Tunch Ilkin, the right tackle for Pittsburgh, moved. Jerry Markbright.
Full start, number 62, offense.
It was Ilkin, the 13-year veteran out of Indiana State.
Watch right in the middle of the screen. He's a little anxious. Obviously, it's a pass. He's trying to set up, so that's the penalty. You know, Ilkin's a little like Munoz. He's had some shoulder surgery. He's had some problems. He's been around for 13 years. He's a real throwback. He's the anchor of that line, one of the leaders of that offensive line, and which has been allowed. He's gone through some transition. In the old days with Chuck Noll, they were light, they were trap blocking, they were brilliant at what they did. Now it's big, powerful, straight-ahead blocking for the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line.
And 3rd and 11 for Pittsburgh. Four wide receiver set for O'Donnell. And he'll go down. Roosevelt Nix Number 95, the rookie out of Central State. The 8th round pick drops O'Donnell.
You know, if you watch him, Roosevelt Nix is one of the fastest defensive linemen in the league.
40th sack of the Bengals. And Carl Pickens calls for the fair catch at the 10-yard line. 11:36 left in the third quarter. We'll be back to Riverfront in a moment. David Klingler and the Cincinnati Bengals pinned deep in their own territory at the 10-yard line. Klingler in his first action since his senior year at the University of Houston. And we'll see how the youngster reacts pinned down deep in his own territory for the second time this game. And the play action, pass complete to Carl Pickens. He may have 2 or 3 yards along the right sideline. Carnell Lake, the strong safety, ran him out of bounds. Other scores around the league. Dolphins and the Saints tied up in the third quarter 7 apiece. You know, you mentioned earlier in this game, John, that this is a very important one for Pittsburgh. They want to remain the number 2 team in the AFC, so they'll get that first round bye in that second round playoff game at home. Klingler throwing, and stepping in front was Rod Woodson. The pass intended for Tim McGee. So Woodson close to another interception.
You know, Rod Woodson's been around long enough where he reads the quarterback as well. He saw the short drop, and then he just reacted and went for the interception. Had the ball been thrown a little better, lower, he would have been gone with that. Great reaction time by Woodson.
So the Steelers in the dime package again. Sammy Walker is in. Larry Griffin is in on 3rd down and 7. Klingler has time, and he was going for Carl Pickens, but knocking it away once again, Rod Woodson, who has made a number of critical plays today for Pittsburgh.
Woodson's like the Renaissance man. He plays defensive back, he returns kicks, he rushes the pass. Watch him here, lower end, he's covering Pickens man-to-man. He does a speed turn. A lot of times a coach will tell a young defensive back not to do that, but you know what? It's the fastest way to get back once you're beaten inside. And look at this man. And now he's back to return the punt. All-purpose man.
All of the day's work for Rod Woodson. His 6th year out of Purdue. Cincinnati unable to do anything on that drive, which started at the 10. They only got 3 yards. Lee Johnson's punt, high hanging punt, which drives Woodson back to the 42. He's quickly across midfield before he's run out of bounds at the 47-yard line. So once again, the Steelers with excellent field position. Pittsburgh leads at 14-6. We'll be back in a moment. Back at Riverfront Stadium, Ron Earhart, the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers in his 20th NFL season.
And he's had the courage and the success to change an offense that was legendary under Chuck Noll in Pittsburgh.
And we'll come back to Ron Earhart, tell you how important he's been in Neil O'Donnell's early years. And Foster loses some yardage on that carry. James Francis in the backfield for the Bengals on the stop. You know, Neil O'Donnell grew up in New Jersey. He watched the Giants, remembers watching them practice, and the architect of the New York Giants offensive system, of course, for 8 years was Earhart. So he's very used to the Earhart system. He watched it work at the Giants, and he's watching it work in Pittsburgh.
And Earhart wants a run game. Barry Foster, he had Joe Morris. He wants a tight end. He had Rivaro. He's got some good tight ends here. Solid offensive line.
Well, we'll hear. See what kind of call Earhart comes up with this time on 2nd and 13. Why not give it to Barry Foster? That's a good game plan. He's got the first down inside the 35.
Well, Barry Foster, as you talk about the similarities between the Giant offense, you know, in the 80s and the Pittsburgh Steelers offense here, is Joe Morris used to run these kinds of plays, the quick screen, and do it well. And he was the main featured back for the Giants, much the way Barry Foster has become for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
A First down for the Steelers. 9:32 left in the third quarter. The ball at the Bengal 34. This is the second straight possession that Pittsburgh has started in Cincinnati territory. Foster and Tim Crumry, the nose tackle, the veteran Bengal, making the stop. Crumry already has 4 career sacks.
They're continuing on
a fine year.
Yeah, on that thread, I thought it was funny talking to Neil O'Donnell last night. With Earhart, he was so into bringing the Giants system here, so successful. Of course, you got to have a quarterback, and Phil Simms was there, and of course O'Donnell's here. And what did O'Donnell say about it? About Earhart? What do you think?
He said there's been times in practice when Ron Earhart has called them Hoss and Phil, he and Bubby Brister. So Earhart sometimes having difficulty keeping the name straight, but Bubby Brister and Neil O'Donnell in the same system, and O'Donnell long downfield in the end zone. Eric Thomas was on the coverage of Dwight Stones as O'Donnell went for the home run.
They're double covering the outside receiver. Fulcher gave him some help, but Eric Thomas didn't need much. He keeps the cushion, then turns the wrong way. He was expecting the out. Here at the last minute, good position. He goes up and gets his right hand and knocks it away. An excellent play by number 22, Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas has been starting all year. Consistent, solid, talented for the Cincinnati Bengals.
3rd and 9 for Pittsburgh now. And O'Donnell calls a timeout. You could see David Fulcher up there along the line of scrimmage, perhaps making a rush on O'Donnell. We'll be back to Riverfront Stadium in a moment. Well, in this day and age in the NFL, you need 2 quarterbacks to win a championship. Bubby Brister filled in last week when O'Donnell was out with a hamstring injury. Did nothing spectacular, but kept the Steelers in the win column for another week. 3rd and 9, 8:32 left in the third quarter. This Steeler drive beginning in Bengals territory. 4 wideouts for O'Donnell. And he's got him. Charles Davenport down to the 2-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal for the Steelers. 31 yards to Charles Davenport, who of course had the early interception.
Take a look at Davenport right here, downfield, makes the cut inside, and then the ball is really well thrown. Davenport with a nice catch right there. And you know, Leonard Wheeler was a little behind him on the turn as a defensive back. And look at this hit. You talk about O'Donnell, he takes a big hit right there from Alex Gordon, who was on the blitz.
1st and goal for the Steelers. Merrill Hodge down to the 1-yard line. I mentioned Davenport had an interception. Actually, it was the muff fake punt, which he returned for a touchdown. And now the Bengals say that the ball came loose.
You'd need X-ray vision to call this one. You have to be Superman. Who could see in the midst of that human pile?
The Bengals still indicating that they have possession. And Jerry Mark Bright confirms it. Merrill Hodge was stripped of the football at the 2-yard line. And Alonzo Mitz, number 99, made the recovery.
We'll try to take a look at it. Watch number 33 right of your screen. He's following the lead block there by Foster. He's piled up. Now let's see if we can see that ball coming loose. He has not hit the ground. He has not hit the ground. He still has the ball, and then it goes away. Was the whistle blown is the question, and was he down? He had not touched the turf because he was on top of other bodies. The officials say Cincinnati recovery. What a break for them.
Huge play and advantage of the Cincinnati Bengals. And they're pinned deep again, and so is Klingler. And throwing down the right sidelines, Query never had a chance at it. Let's take another look at the Hodge fumble. This was close.
This is very close. Now watch him. He's on top of other players, so he hasn't touched the ground. He's still trying to get in the end zone. He's only inches away. Right there, he still has the ball. Boy, everyone's ripping. And then someone must rip his arm because he just seems to let go of the ball. Lots of questions there.
2nd and 10. Harold Green almost lost the handle on the football that time. Klingler's just trying to get some breathing room. Once again, pinned deep. One more look. And Harold Green not able to get the handle on it.
But this ball is just a timing between running back and quarterback. Of course, it's a new quarterback, Klingler. Boomer Esiason was brilliant at handling the ball. Klingler has a way to go in that area. So that ball was almost fumbled.
So 3rd down and 8. Klingler has to throw it. He's pressured. Intended for Tim McGee, but McGee was moving in the opposite direction, and the Bengals will once again punt from deep in their own end zone.
That was, the thing that caused that was the blitz from the cornerback again. They used that dime, and if you watch the left side, you'll see Rod Woodson flying in there. He doesn't get to the quarterback because they use maximum protection with both backs, but it forces him to throw the ball poorly behind the receiver.
So here's Rod Woodson back deep. Lee Johnson, pretty good punt. As Woodson takes it out at the 47-yard line. And once again, the Steelers at excellent field position. We'll be back to Riverfront in a moment. Well, moments ago, Bill Cowher reacting to the call on Merrill Hodge's fumble. He wanted some answers, and it was indeed a close call at the goal line. Cincinnati had to punt it away, and for the 3rd straight time, the Steelers begin their drive in Bengal territory, and Barry Foster across the inside the 40-yard line down to the 37 before Crumry made the tackle.
I guess you might say to the Steelers there was no harm done, but they were driving for a touchdown, and that would have made this game 21-6, and almost put it out of reach for the Bengals. But what they do, Merrill Hodge tossed it up on a questionable play. It looked like maybe his progress was stopped. The whistle might have blown, although the officials would have known that. Still, it was a fumble. It prevented the touchdown, but Cincinnati couldn't capitalize.
Gain of 9 for Foster, 2nd and 1. He'll get the call again and get the first down inside the 35-yard line to about the 33. Gary Reason's on the stop. Crumry also in there. 5:30 and counting left in the 3rd quarter.
You know what Bill
14-6.
Excuse me, Dan. You know what Bill Cowher and the Steelers do? They don't hurt themselves, especially offensively. They don't fumble often. On giveaway takeaways, they're plus 14. They've only been intercepted coming into today 6 times, only 14 fumbles, so they don't hurt themselves offensively.
Well, Barry Foster now has 96 yards. 4 more will give him 100, but O'Donnell elects to throw. And a good catch by Jeff Graham, the wide receiver. Another first down for the Steelers. And this time it'll be spotted at the 13-yard line of Cincinnati.
Watch this ball. It's thrown behind him. He goes with his hands and pulls it in. Graham does. Nice reception. Good concentration.
Steelers once again looking for a touchdown. The last series ended with a Merrill Hodge fumble, a controversial fumble on the goal line. And the ball on the 17-yard line. O'Donnell and the handoff to Foster. He needs 4 yards for another 100-yard gain.
And do you believe that, I'd say Emmitt Smith is at home watching this game, right? Watching his chief adversary for the rushing title, Barry Foster.
We talked to Barry about what it would mean to be mentioned with the elite running backs of today, the Emmitt Smiths, the Barry Sanders. He said, yeah, I'd like to be mentioned in that company, but as Bill Cowher told us, consistency, and only time will tell if Foster will be mentioned in that category. Indeed, he's over the century mark again. And that's also a team record. Foster again. And we'll step aside here at Riverfront. Let's go to our New York studios and Bob Costas.
Dan, the Chiefs are extending their lead against the Jets. First, a 55-yarder from Craig to Willie Davis set it up, and then the payoff is this 2-yarder to Keith Cash. That extends their lead to 13-0, and even as we speak, they are driving inside the Jet 10-yard line, trying to win their 4th in a row.
Barry Foster continuing to pile up the milestones. Now has his 9th 100-yard game of the season. He broke Franco Harris's record for 100-yard games in a season last week with his 8th. But on 3rd down and 3, the Steelers trying to score, and Foster gets the call. There's a flag on the play.
Cincinnati offsides. They're anxious, trying to get the rush. It's going to be against the Bengals.
Offside, number 33, defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
David Fulcher called for the penalty. He's number 33 for the Bengals.
He might be an incident victim here. Watch Reasons, middle of your screen, jump up there, and he looked like the man, and Fulcher got nailed for it, but I don't think it was him. Nobody meant number 52 Reasons.
Yeah, Fulcher was nowhere in the vicinity, and Reasons was clearly offsides. First down, Steelers, and that will be defensive pass interference against James Francis. He interfered with the tight end Adrian Cooper.
Pass interference, number 50, defense in the end zone. First down on the 1-yard line.
Francis is one of those. Take a look at this again. He's just hanging on to Adrian Cooper. Number 50, Francis, is right there. He's got his right arm on his hip, and he's spinning him around. And penalty. Steelers knocking on the door again.
Last time the Steelers were in this position, Hodge fumbled. Double tight ends now for Pittsburgh. Barry Foster in for the score for Pittsburgh. Second touchdown of the afternoon for Barry Foster.
What can you say about Barry Foster except that he carries this Pittsburgh Steeler offense? It's not quarterback oriented, it's running back oriented, and he's the man. And at the end of that play, boy, a nice presence of mind as he was being hit to just stick that ball out over the goal line for the touchdown.
9th touchdown of the season for Foster. And Gary Anderson in for the point after attempt to try to make it 21-6 Pittsburgh. Royals with a hold. And the kick is good. Pittsburgh makes good on its touchdown this time as Barry Foster scampers across from 1 yard out. And the Steelers suddenly in command with 2 minutes and 26 seconds left in the 3rd. Was Barry Foster's touchdown really a touchdown?
Watch him right here. He reaches out. It's an effective move, but a dangerous move. The question is, was he impacted by number 52? Because his knee hit the ground right there. The ball wasn't in the end zone, so it wouldn't have been a touchdown.
Eric Ball returning the kickoff to the 20-yard line for the Bengals. Levon Kirkland made the stop for Pittsburgh. So Barry Foster's touchdown will count. His second of the day.
Let's look at that again, okay? Watch it right here. Watch Barry Foster right here. Here's the plane of the goal line. He's going to reach out and put the ball over right there. His knee hits right there on the ground. The ball is not over the plane of the goal line, so it wouldn't have been a touchdown if Gary Reasons did touch him. If he didn't touch him, he wasn't impacted by a defensive player, then he's not down when his knee hits the ground, and it can be a score.
So it's 21-6. Pittsburgh. Klingler out again, firing, and this time Jeff Query drops it. Another update in our New York studios. Let's go to Bob Costas.
Dan, big play at the Superdome. Saints and Dolphins tied at 10. Miami with the ball. The great Pat Swilling hits Marino, knocks the ball free. The nose tackle, Robert Goff, picks it up, goes 28 yards for the touchdown. Following the point after, New Orleans has the lead, 17-10 in the third quarter.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Some interesting happenings in the AFC. The Dolphins trailing New Orleans. The Bengals here trailing the Steelers 21-6. David Klingler. This time, Query is able to grasp onto it.
It's interesting to watch David Klingler, his first snap in the NFL here this afternoon, taking over for Boomer Esiason. Early, he was hot. And then he's gotten out of his rhythm, and now he's coming back. And Boomer, you know, we've been talking about how professionally he's handled the whole thing, but let me tell you something. There is a volcano burning inside that man. He was very direct with us yesterday. He said, hey, I won't sit on the bench. I don't want to sit on the bench. If I have to, I want to go somewhere else. So Boomer is handling it well, but boy, he is not a happy man. He's angry.
Well, there's been some talk around the league. Boomer Esiason doesn't have the same fastball he used to have. He looked us in the eye and said, hey, guys, I haven't lost anything.
He said, I'm physically okay. My arm's okay. And if you look at the situation today, he was talking about, hey, his offensive line hasn't exactly been spectacular. A lot of injuries. Munoz is now gone, 8 different combinations, so he wasn't exactly getting the best support from a quarterback. So not all Boomer's problem.
Bengals just short of the first down. Third down and inches. Harold Green gets the first down for Cincinnati. Aaron Jones on the stop. But getting back to Boomer Esiason, he said, hey, guys, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to write my obituary. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to write me off. But don't write me off. I still have the ability to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and not just be a starting quarterback in the NFL, but lead another franchise through the playoffs into perhaps another Super Bowl. Klingler to Thompson, and the tight end, I believe, got the first down.
But now, right now, the quarterback of the present, David Klingler, and the quarterback of the future is leading the Bengals. All right? And this is an example of the kind of talent that he has. His classic setup. He waits, got a strong arm, flips it in there, and you know, the Cincinnati Bengals, this is not a one-game trial for David Klingler. He is the quarterback of the future. He is the franchise player.
Thompson, the rookie out of North Carolina A&T, the catch. This is Eric Green across midfield, inside the 40. Another first down for Cincinnati. Carnell Lake and Darren Perry downfield to wrestle Green down, but not before a huge gain of 24 yards.
Nice run by Harold Green, and talking to David Klingler, he said, I don't want to have it all on my shoulders. David Shula said, hey, play within yourself, do what you have to do, and let the other guys help you, like Harold Green, like the offensive line. Let them help you. Don't take it all on your own shoulders.
Closing seconds of the third quarter. The Bengals will not get a playoff, so we'll head to the fourth quarter with the Steelers up 21-6, and we'll be right back to Riverfront after these messages from your local station. Well, past history tells us that if you step in for a long-time Cincinnati Bengals quarterback, you're going to step in there and take over the reins for many, many years. And David Klingler has stepped in for Boomer Esiason this afternoon. We'll show you a graphic in just a moment to illustrate that more clearly. 1st and 10, and Klingler goes down, a huge loss. The ball was at the 36-yard line, but Klingler is sacked all the way back at the 47, a loss of about 11 yards as Greg Lloyd and Donald Evans came in, the 7th sack of the afternoon on Klingler.
You know, Boomer Esiason was talking about the problems in the offensive line, and David Klingler, with all his mobility, is feeling the effect of that. as you see, like a huge white wave, the Steelers just rolling over David Klingler for that sack.
Loss of 11, 2nd and 21. Complete. Carl Pickens inside the 35 to about the 33-yard line. Still well short of the first down. Perry.
Smart strategy by Cincinnati. You know, they roll the pocket a little bit to get him away from the rush, and it's a nice play by Klingler. And vision is part of it. You know, look at how open on the backside he is here. Query is open, but remember, he's rolling out. He's trying to get away from pressure. He doesn't see Query deep downfield, but still he gets a completion and some yards.
And it was a gain of 14, but it is still 3rd down and 7. The ball at the 34. And Green for some good yardage. Very close to the first down. He had to get to the 26 to pick it up. Carnell Lake and Larry Griffin stopped him, but he's very close to a first down.
I love this chess match. What do they do? Cincinnati comes throwing the ball. They're using 3 wide receivers. Pittsburgh counters with their dime package. They come in with Sammy Walker, number 23, and Larry Griffin, number 22. They come with some blitz, and it's a nice chess match.
And they'll come out to measure. Harold Green picks up the first down for Cincinnati. So this drive alive with 13:27 to go, and the Bengals down 21-6. So if they pick up a touchdown here, we've got ourselves a ball game.
You see this? You see the 3 wide receivers here for the Cincinnati. Well, Pittsburgh comes with extra defensive backs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And they're also coming with the blitz. So they're getting the best of both worlds. They're getting coverage, and they're getting some rush.
Fighting for the first down yardage. Ball on the 27. Klingler, the tops of the tight end. He breaks loose from a couple tacklers. Fights his way to the 19-yard line. And now Harold Green is mixing it up with some of the Steelers.
Rod Woodson was right in the middle of that too, number 26.
The official stepping in quickly to stop that melee.
And you might wonder why. Hey, 4 and 7 Bengals. Sure, the Steelers have a lot at stake, but when the Bengals play the Steelers, it's always a war. That Central Division, no love lost between these 2 teams. And what is this? There seem to be officials talking to Woodson, and you have to wonder if he's asking him to leave the game.
I think Rod Woodson was just wanted to make it clear his side of the story on.
No, he's not asking to leave, nor should he. That was just a brief
conflict with Harold Green. 2nd down and 2. Green got down to the 19. And this is Green. Down to the 15-yard line. Gerald Williams, the nose tackle, dropped it.
It's getting a little chippy down there now. Hey, little chippy. This game is still within reach for the Bengals. Steelers know how important it is to them. But what I was saying before when I was talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers dime defense with the 2 extra defensive backs, nice counter by Cincinnati and David Schuler by running the ball with Harold Green and getting that first down and moving it here.
And a first down here for Cincinnati. Clock ticking, 11:38 left. Steelers with a 21-6 lead. Klingler got it away, and it was intended for Tim McGee, but D.J. Johnson knocked it down. If he wouldn't have been able to get there, it would have been a sure 6.
You know, the Steelers have some cornerbacks in play. We talked a lot about Rod Woodson. Well, D.J. Johnson, number 44, watch him react here. He can cover, reads the ball well, goes up and knocks it away with his right hand. And you wondered if he didn't have a chance to intercept, but Klingler under pressure, trying to hold up And look, he's actually falling backwards and still gets that ball off into the end zone. David Little all over him.
Klingler taking a shot from Little. 12th play of this drive on 2nd and 10. Again under pressure is Klingler running to the right. He'll get to the 15. Let's see where the officials mark it. At about the 14-yard line. So Klingler once again running out of the pocket.
And he has that athletic ability we talked about. He was a basketball player. He played guard. He was a track man. He runs about a 4.7. Here, he gets away, and it looks like he's going to be run out of bounds, but yet he turns upfield and gets a few extra yards, though nowhere near the first down.
He got a couple of yards, 3rd down and 8. Klingler once high jumped 6 feet 10 inches.
Wow. He's an incredible athlete, and that's one of the reasons the Bengals drafted him the top pick this year.
And he is met by Hardy Nickerson. Klingler never had a chance to get that pass off as Nickerson just bolted his way through.
I don't care how good an athlete you are. If you don't have time to set up and throw, you just have no shot. And his offensive line should be, hey, he should sue them for non-support. They're not doing anything, and he's getting buried this afternoon by a team that is not a real pressure, sack-oriented team.
So the Bengals will now try to get 3 points out of it. A 33-yard attempt underway by Breach, and it is good. The Bengals didn't get the touchdown they had hoped for, but they tack on 3 more points to make it 21-9. Cincinnati Bengals are the strength of Jim Breach's 3rd field goal of the afternoon. This is Yancey Thigpen, number 82, across the 25. Coming up next week in the NFL here on NBC Sports. It all begins, of course, with NFL Live at 12:30 Eastern Time. Then the Steelers take on the Seahawks as the Steelers continue their drive for their first AFC Central Division title in 8 years. Bengals take on the Browns, the division rivals, and the Jets and Buffalo. And then the big game of the afternoon, the second game of our doubleheader at Candlestick, the Dolphins and the 49ers.
A couple of heavyweights at 4 p.m. next week, Dolphins in San Francisco. Dolphins have their hands full today against New Orleans.
Yeah, they trailed New Orleans last time we checked on that game. So the Steelers keep it on the ground. Barry Foster, he's dropped for a loss behind the line of scrimmage. James Francis.
Big, talented, number 1 pick. What an athlete. Played forward on the Baylor basketball team, and it kind of moved him around. Before, he was playing over the tight end, didn't have a chance to get a lot of rush. Now they moved him around to the backside, kind of in a Lawrence Taylor type of mode, where you can get some rush on the backside of the quarterback.
Francis, the number 1 pick for Cincinnati a couple of years ago. A loss of 4, 2nd and 14. Right sideline, in and out of the hands of Dwight Stone. Incomplete.
You know, when you look at the Steelers and you look the way they win with a great running back in Barry Foster, solid offensive line play. They don't have a lot of talent. This is not Lynn Swann and John Stallworth at wide receivers for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dwight Stone there with a drop. Yeah, he has some speed, but they just don't have a lot of talent out there. Their best wide receiver is Jeff Graham. He's just back from an ankle injury. But other than that, hey, the tight end, the running back, and strong defense.
So the Steelers trying to attempt a 3rd down conversion. They'll attempt it. We'll see if they convert it. They're only 2 of 6 on the afternoon. Four wide receiver set for Neil O'Donnell. And it's complete to Dwight Stone for the first down.
Boy, what a nice touch on that ball from Neil O'Donnell. They had some pressure on him, but watch the inside receiver. Dwight Stone just goes down, and the ball has to be perfectly thrown because it's between 2 defenders. It is, this time, Stone holds on to the ball.
27 yards on the reception by Dwight Stone. Ball all the way at midfield where the Steelers have a 1st and 10, 8:55 and counting remaining. Foster. He'll lose a yard, and he's met by Francis.
You know, Barry Foster, when you look at him, I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers have had some good backs, but, you know, there aren't that many of them. He's only one, when you look at his stats, of 4 players in that elite 1,000-yard club for the Steelers. John Henry Johnson did it twice. Franco Harris 8 times. Rocky Bleier once, and now Barry Foster. And Foster won't consider himself among the elite until he does it more than one time. So the people don't say, hey, it's a fluke.
He told us he couldn't even imagine the year he's having. O'Donnell, right sideline, and that's complete to Jeff Graham. And that'll be close to the 1st down. They needed to get to the 40-yard line.
It's very close.
Graham got it.
Yeah. Neil O'Donnell was talking about his confidence level going up. This is simply a quick out pattern. Not bad coverage for Rod Jones.
And he's got the 1st down.
Got the 1st down, but, you know, they were coming with the blitz, so it was man-to-man coverage. The cornerback had to play on the inside. O'Donnell read it. Bingo. 1st down.
Well, Pittsburgh can chew some time up as they complete this drive. They'll keep it on the ground, and this is Merrill Hodge, the fullback, brought down by Ricardo McDonald. But Merrill Hodge has had to make a huge adjustment this year. He's been the leading rusher for the Pittsburgh Steelers 3 out of the last 4 seasons. He was the premier man, and now that Barry Foster is the main man in the attack, Hodge has had to really adjust his game.
He really has. He has been the main man. He was a 10th round pick, as you see, out of Idaho State. He's been around for a while, but, you know, he's got to. This is his role now. He's got to block for Barry Foster, and he's accepted it.
Gain of 3 for Hodge. Complete. Jeff Graham looked an awful lot like the same play.
It was the same play.
Rod Jones was over there on the coverage.
And take a look if he's in. The ball's there. All right, let's see. Get left foot. Oh, wow.
Close it looked like he had that right toe down.
Let's take it back and take a look. Yeah, there we go.
But did he have the ball when he had...
Here's the ball. Let's take a look. The ball's there. His foot's on the ground. He had right, left. I think it's a good call. Of course, we could call for the replay. Yeah, right?
Ball inside the 30 at the 28, 1st and 10 for Pittsburgh. Foster. Across the right side, he'll get nothing.
And right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are simply doing what they have to do.
All right, there's number 29, Barry Foster, but he is simply carrying along the legacy of outstanding number 29s in Pittsburgh Steelers lore. In fact, we've dug up the photo of the man that really made number 29 popular years ago. Is that John Newcomb or is it John Daku?
Come on, look at this. Give me a break, will you please? Wow. I would love the Elvis look there, maybe, you know, Ricky Nelson. I'll tell you what. Where'd you get that picture from?
Well, I think the lamb chops have been trimmed a bit. O'Donnell lofts it up. Incomplete. That was intended for Jeff Graham, and I have to admit, John, I kind of like the clean-shaven look that you've gone with now that the lamb chops has subsided. But you had a chance to play along some of the great Steelers back in those days, and they were fantastic days.
The great Steelers of the early 70s, you know, the Joe Greens, the Dwight Whites, the L.C. Greenwoods, the Jack Hams, some great Steeler teams, and it's nice to see them coming back into that kind of situation from a personal point of view, from my history.
Well, keep your present-day look, because I like that a lot better.
People say I am more handsome right now. How about Barry Foster when you showed this to him last night?
Oh, all of the Steelers. It was the best joke of the day, laugh of the day, throughout the day in the interviews with the players and coaches. Leroy Thompson on the carry for Pittsburgh, and I couldn't believe you were a Pittsburgh Steeler.
I know when we asked them who the Steeler was, they pointed to you, and Barry Foster talked about changing his number.
All right, we'll take a much-needed timeout here from Riverfront Stadium and be back in a moment. Gary Anderson's 49-yard field goal attempt. No good. That is only the second time he has missed from this range this season. Now 4 of 6, 4 of 5 before that 49-yarder fell short. So Gary Anderson had a chance to make it 24-9, and it is still 21-9 Pittsburgh with 5:33 to go.
2 touchdowns, quick touchdowns, and Cincinnati beats Pittsburgh. It's a large order for a young quarterback.
Well, I'm anxious to see David Klingler in a hurry-up offense again. We had a glimpse of that in the closing moments of the first half, and it was really the most confident we've seen Klingler all game long. He seemed to be in sync with that type of offense. So we'll see what happens here. The ball's at the 32-yard line. Klingler's got his man, but Tim McGee with a juggling act on the far sideline. DJ Johnson was on the coverage. I'm not sure if he did not make the catch or if he was out of bounds.
He was spinning around, and he couldn't make the catch. And, you know, franchises are often defined by their quarterbacks. It's been no different here in Cincinnati. Greg Cook, an incredible talent, a career cut short by an injury. Kenny Anderson, 13.5 years. Boomer Esiason, 7.5.
Klingler hands off to Green. You know, a similar situation here 7-8 years ago here in Cincinnati when Boomer Esiason took over for Turk Schoner. And now it's, well, actually for Kenny Anderson, the Turk Schoner was really the Donald Hollis of today, the odd man out. But the same situation occurring years ago, and Boomer Esiason finds himself on the flip side of that some 8 years later. Klingler goes down again. Greg Lloyd with the sack, the 9th Steelers sack of the day on David Klingler.
And you know, Boomer was talking about that, about the offensive line and the problems. David Klingler is suffering because of that today in his debut. You just don't have any time to throw the ball. They tried to run some draws. They tried to use the running game a little bit with Harold Green. But this situation, he's down. You got to stand back and throw the ball.
Well, the most sacks that the Bengals have given up is 10 against Denver. That was the 9th. They're 1 sack away from tying that record. And Lee Johnson will punt. Rod Woodson stands at his own 30. Excellent punt. And the ball marked out at the 30, so Woodson doesn't get a chance for the return, and will return to Riverfront in a moment. Well, it's been said so many times, John, that Bill Cowher, the 35-year-old coach for the Steelers, is a player's coach, and the players said nothing to us yesterday that would make us believe any different.
And you see that sack thing today. Yeah, it really is. We're talking to him last night. The players were saying, hey, a couple of weeks ago, you know, against the Lions, we needed to do something different. So we came to Bill Cowher on the sideline, hey, coach, come on, let us blitz, let us do it. He said, why not? And they did it, and they took control of the game and won it. So they get a feeling like he's one of them. He's excited.
Complete different atmosphere from the Chuck Noll days. Flexible coach, Bill Cowher. Not to say that Chuck Noll didn't listen to his players, but Bill Cowher is out there patting people on the shoulder pads and totally turned the game around when he led his team sack. So they can make some calls, and they know that they have a player, not just a coach on the sidelines.
And a young, enthusiastic guy. I mean, Pittsburgh, who would have expected the Steelers to be 8-3 this year? I mean, you know, last year they were, what, 7-9? And, you know, nobody expected them to improve this much dramatically. They're in line to win their division for the first time in almost a decade.
Looking very good as Pittsburgh closes out the schedule. They'll play 3 of their next 4, the last 4 games of the season at home, and the only team they play with a winning record down the stretch of the Vikings. Barry Foster across the 30. Crumry there for the Bengals. So they are in excellent position, the Pittsburgh Steelers, to not only get the AFC Central Division title, but look for bigger things beyond. They lead at 21-9. Neil O'Donnell of the Pittsburgh Steelers with a 21-9 lead over the Bengals. 3:24 left in the game, and by the looks of things around the rest of the AFC this afternoon, the Steelers really in not any danger of keeping their number 2 spot in the AFC. The Dolphins losing to the Saints right now with 9:55 left. They're losing 24-13, but you see the Steelers in clear command of the AFC Central Division as well. 4 wideouts on 3rd and long in for the Steelers, complete to Dwight Stone on the right sideline. He'll be very close to the first down, pushed out at the 40.
And you talk about those standings, Dan. Sure, if Pittsburgh wins today, they'll go to 9-3, and should Miami lose, they'll be 8-4. So the battle for the, those playoff spots continues. Of course, Buffalo way out in front. Well, not way out. They're 9-2. Houston's still in the race. Kansas City, of course, a hot team now. San Diego, also a hot team. They're in the hunt. So should be an interesting run down the last 4 weeks of the season.
And a different look for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They haven't had a home playoff game at Three Rivers in 10 years. Mark Royals punt. Bounces at the 24. Carl Pickens lets it roll where it's out of bounds at the 16-yard line. And coming up, the NFL Live Old Spice post-game report, along with Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson, and former Chicago Bear Dan Hampton. They'll have all the scores and highlights of another busy afternoon in the NFL.
And I wonder if the Chicago Bears will come up in that conversation. Mike Ditka, wow, is he on the edge?
Yeah. So you can look forward to Dan Hampton's comments on the Chicago Bears and their recent slide. From the 17, Harold Green got himself 8 or 9 yards before Hardy Nickerson made the stop under 3 minutes left.
The Chicago Bears will have their hands full today because Bernie Kosar was due back for Cleveland, and I think they were in a dogfight out there.
Klingler's got himself another completion to the tight end, the veteran out of Tulane, Rodney Holman.
Dan, I just got an update on that Cleveland-Chicago, and at last count, it was 27-14, Cleveland on top of Chicago. Wow.
What has happened in Chicago? Klingler's pass batted down at the line of scrimmage, and that's something the Steelers have done all season long. Coming into this game, they had knocked down 17 passes at the line of scrimmage. They didn't have a lot of sacks before today's game, but this is something that they've done all season.
And they teach this: if you can't get there, make sure you jump, and that it's exactly what is done right there.
Donald Evans,
the man,
fourth-year man out of Winston-Salem State, got a hand on David Klingler's pass. We'll also mention that David Klingler's brother, Jimmy Klingler, as David finds Carl Pickens. Jimmy Klingler, quarterback of Houston yesterday, had a huge day, 613 yards, 7 touchdowns in Houston's 61-34 win over Rice. David Klingler could have wished for such a day. Where do the Bengals go from here? Boomer Esiason sitting on the bench for the first time in his 7-year career as a starter. David Klingler not having a great day, 16-33 for 140 yards, but you don't switch back to Boomer now.
This is not an experiment. David Klingler is the quarterback. He will be the quarterback in the future. Boomer Esiason will not sit on the bench. He told us that if he played, he'd stay. Otherwise, he wants out of here.
Klingler's pass downfield intended for Carl Pickens, and we'll take this moment to have a look at our Hager's wrinkle-free cotton super play of the game, and it was the first score of the day for the Steelers and for the game for that matter, as Charles Davenport on the fake punt attempt by the Bengals stormed through, picking up The deflection off of Eric Ball, and racing 32 yards for the touchdown to give the Steelers an early lead, and they've never looked back. Right now, Klingler will go down again for the 10th time today. And if that is a sack, it would be a new Pittsburgh Steelers record for sacks. They had 9 sacks in 1983 against the Cincinnati Bengals. So if that's recorded a sack, then the Steelers have just set a new standard in that department. And indeed, we've been told it has been recorded a sack. So for a team that didn't have a whole lot of sacks coming into the game, they sure cleaned up on Klingler.
They did, but how inept is the Cincinnati Bengal offensive line? Steelers have 10 sacks today. Before this, in 11 games, they had a mere 17. So it's a combination of good Steeler play, but terrible offensive line play by the Bengals.
And the Steelers will simply run it out with 1:45 to go, and that'll give us a chance to thank our statisticians today, Randy Danbury and Joe Lammert, and our spotters today, Bob Saban and Russ Jackson. Coordinating producer of NFL football and NBC Sports, John Faratzis. Executive producer, Terry O'Neill. Our producer for this afternoon's game, Victor Iron Man Frank, along with our director, Doug Graber. Just wondering if that nickname will stick. It certainly has gotten a good head start. Minute 8 to go. Neil O'Donnell should take another knee, so he'll get the win back in the saddle for the Pittsburgh Steelers as the quarterback. We're under a minute left. Once again, the Old Spice NFL Live post-game report. Bob Costas, along with a couple of NFL greats, O.J. Simpson and Dan Hampton. Scores and highlights coming up after the completion of this one. Pittsburgh really hasn't been threatened all afternoon. They've been in control throughout. They're up 21-9.
And I think I might stay tuned as well. I mean, there's some games I got to know the scores and what happened in Chicago at Cleveland. Kansas City was beating the Jets. Miami and New Orleans were battling it out in an important game. Hey, there's a lot of good ones on today.
Neil O'Donnell on his knee, and that should do it. The Pittsburgh Steelers continue the drive to the AFC Central title. They'll go to 9-3. The Cincinnati Bengals fall to 4-8. Once again, the final score: Pittsburgh beats Cincinnati 21-9 at Riverfront.